Good evening, my friend, and welcome to the very first WDWA Live of the new year. Happy 2024. I hope that the first 3 days of the new year and the new turning of the page and chapter in your life has been great so far. My goal this year is to make 2024 our collective best year ever. The whiteboard has been updated, both mentally and the physical whiteboard has been updated. There's a lot that I am planning to do and improve and implement some things finally in the new year. I'm going to have a lot to share with you over the next few weeks and months, both on the Disney side of what I do and on sort of the business side of what I do, because in addition to wanting to help you have the best possible Disney vacation experience and bring you a little bit of Disney magic wherever you are, I also want you to live the life that you are supposed to live, the one that you dream about, the one that you have been maybe starting to go down the path on or don't know how or when to make the first step. There's a lot that I really want to do for you and hopefully with you. And I'll have a lot more about that coming soon. But as we look ahead, I also want to look back, and I want to make tonight I really want tonight to be every show is interactive, but I want tonight really to be about you. I'm going to do a show about the Disney 2023 year in review, but rather than wait for me to do a show and then hear how you respond to what I and my oh so very special guests are going to put on it, I'd love to hear from you. I want to know what you thought about the Disney sort of year in review. And when I say Disney, I don't just mean Walt Disney World and the Disney parks. I also mean the big screen, what happened in the movies or what didn't happen in the movies, the small screen on Disney Plus and Hulu, the company as a whole. There was a lot of things that happened sort of outside of the movie theater and inside executive offices, political offices. What about Marvel, Star Wars, Disney Plus, Hulu, everything across the board? I really want to hear from you what you thought about what the most important and impactful, surprising, exciting, disappointing moments and memories were of the past year. And I want to see sort of how those align to what I and my guests are going to talk about on the show that's going to release next week. I then have a couple of other shows already that I'm planning. We are certain, I know a number of you asked me if I'm going to do a show about the river cruise. Absolutely. Christmas, and then first of all, the travel, and then Christmas, and then New Year's, and just the timing of the way the days fell has just been a little chaotic in terms of trying to record and release a show. And, I've never monologued a show. I'm not sure if you're ready for that. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that after nearly 20 years. I've never monologued a show. I always like bringing somebody on with me, and that sometimes brings with it certain challenges in terms of scheduling. But hopefully you've enjoyed the archive episode. I think this past week, it was Alan Menken. Yeah, we talked about N2, Alan Menken, a blast from the past, one of the shows and interviews that I was privileged to do almost 14 years ago with somebody whose work I respect incredibly. And it was before we had even had a chance to talk about Compass of Your Heart, which if you've never heard before, find it, play it on YouTube. It is from The Voyage of Sinbad and Tokyo Disney Sea. And we're going to wrap up soon the final park in the music of the parks. We're going to talk about Disney's Animal Kingdom, and then we're going to talk about the music, I think, as a whole. Right? We're going to talk about music in Disney as a whole, from the parks, from the movies, from TV. What really is some of the best of the best? What is the most memorable? What is the most emotional? What is the most inspiring? And if you fancy yourself, I'm going to reach out to the nation, actually. If you are a member of the nation, you fancy yourself a Disney music aficionado, dare I say expert, dare. Maybe I'll invite you, reach out to me, please your case, and maybe I'll invite you to join us on the Disney music review show. But yes, I promise the River Cruise show will be coming up at some point, because now we got marathon weekend, sort of throwing another wrench into it. Not that marathon weekend is a wrench, it's a bit of a wrench, but not that it's throwing it a wrench. But, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are crazy to begin with. What lunatic would actually decide to do a live auction we're about 100, I'm going to scale it back, about 100, we had about 100 items for the auction, thanks to the volunteers that came over this past week to help me wade through all of the stuff. And there's a lot of it. And if you're coming this weekend to our Dream Team Luncheon Auction, get ready. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, a couple of surprises in store for you, and nice food too. It's going to be at the Boardwalk Convention Center, so it will be a lot of fun. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all of the New Year wishes. Please make sure you have a snack in hand, a beverage of choice. Tonight's Dunkin' Cup is filled with nothing but water, whatever suits your fancy. If you're still in pumpkin spice latte or peppermint ginger mocha latte frappuccino, whatever fuels your fire, or if you have a snack, that's good too. But I do want to hear from you. I want to know from you in no particular, I fancy myself an aficionado of what I'm not sure I want to know. My name also sounds like, Meemkin, Mankin, no relation whatsoever. All other than the fact that there's an M and an N and some sort of an ank in there somewhere, but it's fine. It is good to see all of you, and Happy New Year. Becky says, Happy Free Dine Day. Listen, free Disney dining are not just three of my favorite words. It may be the perfect sentence. The perfect sentence does not exist. It might. Free Disney dining, but they would lose money. Like, they would literally, if I took advantage of free Disney dining by going through our friends over at Mouse Fan Travel, they might have to pull that offer back because it would be a money losing. They'd be like, we could never do this again because Lou Mangello's eating us out of house and home at Shiki Sai and a list of other restaurants. By the way, if you haven't been to Shiki Sai yet, what are you doing? It's a top 3 restaurant in Walt Disney World. Spoiler, we have to do that too. I still have to do my top counter service, table service restaurants. I'm going to do another show. I know a lot of you have asked me to do another show with AJ that is food related. And actually today I started talking with somebody. Somebody suggested something that I've wanted to do for years. They threw their hat into the ring, and I'm going to pick up that hat, and we are going to record a dining related show together. Maybe we should record the dining related show over. Because I know you're in here, maybe we should record the best blank in Walt Disney World show while we're eating blank in Walt Disney World. Like, just to make it even better. We'll do it while we're eating, and then we'll pick our best of the best. We'll record it there, but we'll save where we're actually eating until the very end. I just thought of that. Please write that down and write it back to me. That sounds like a good idea. But all right, so I want to hear, because I don't want to keep you too long tonight, especially those of you who are running in the 5K tomorrow. Good luck. You don't say break a leg before a 5K. I don't know what you say, but good luck. I will be with you in spirit, and I'll be with you in spirit because I'll be here. My guest room, first of all, my living room, and then my guest room, and now my front hall looks like a Disney vintage store exploded in a best possible way. There's baskets and boxes and frames and things full of Disney stuff for our auction coming up this weekend. Sue Passauer from the aforementioned Mouse Fan Travel. I am not running this weekend. I was going to run, but you sent me not one, but 2 ringed pastry treats for the holidays, and it threw my training completely off, and now I am certainly not able to run. If you think the king cake is good, get the Cajun Kringle. I still lean heavily towards the Cajun Kringle. It is that good. Heather Richards, also from Mouse Fan Travel. I graduated from the Sangria University in 2023. Congratulations. Hopefully you graduated summa cum laude, valedictorian, whatever. As long as you have the diploma, that is all that matters. We did say dining cause because there's not one, not two, but three different special offers happening at Walt Disney World right now. There's free dining, and then there's 2 waves of additional discounts. If you go to www.radio.com, you can check the blog. I've outlined them there. Or better yet, go to Mouse Fan Travel. They have it on their site as well. And you can get a free no obligation quote from Sue or from Heather or from Amanda or from Lori or one of the multitude of many wonderful people. They're not just partners. They're not just friends. They really are family. Yes, including Becky. I had to say that, girl. She would have texted me. So Becky said we had savings of over $1,500 per package today. We went through and proactively applied the discounts. Do you know how much food I could get for $1,500? It's like 2 days at Boathouse, but a normal person could save it. So, all right. So I want to hear from you, and I want to sort of preface this by saying that I know that there were elements of this past year that did not take place in the parks or in the movies, but took place on social. It took place in more political realms, and as soon as you say the P word, it can get very divisive. This is not going to be that type of conversation at all. Least political person on the planet, so I do not take any of that bait. I want to keep it as you always do, but I want to make sure we keep it civil and friendly, and more importantly, fun. So, all right. So with that, I'd love to know from you, what did you think was the most fun, important, impactful, surprising, disappointing, exciting thing that happened in the past year? And if it's food related, even better. That's fine. There was a lot of, when you look back on the year, and I started to do a little sort of preliminary research as I'm waiting, there were things that I loved, and there's things that I didn't, which I will talk about on the show. But I think that there was still, there might not have been, some people like, oh, nothing happened. There was no opening of a fifth gate. There was still a lot that happened. So Kendall Foreman, who this is the love sign, Kendall. There you go. Oh, I love the fact that the gestures recognize me. Kendall, we have to do another show really, really soon. Hit me up on the messenger. Tiana's Palace was my favorite new thing this year. Now that you say that, wow, is Tiana's Palace or Shiki Sai my favorite? I'm going to take some notes too, because I want to talk about some of these things. What did you just do, Mangello? I was on the wrong window. So Tiana's Palace. Was Tiana's Palace the best new sort of dining introduction that we got this year? Elizabeth said, I enjoyed the Disney 100 exhibit. I'm really, gosh, I just did it again. Good Lord, Mangello. It's like I've never done this before. I'm going to start doing it on my other screen here so I don't mess things up. The Disney 100 exhibit, I'm really disappointed that I didn't get a chance to go and see that. I really had all intentions of going to Philadelphia and trying to see it there, but I did not. Caleb, I'm going to keep it simple tonight. No call in. We're just going to do in chat. So, impactful change in CEO. This is a dumb question. Did Iger take over in 22 or 23? Wait a minute. When did Iger? I don't remember. When did Iger actually take over? What was the date of Iger sort of taking over the reins again as CEO? Was it in 23 or was it in late 2022? Kenneth says, I love Epcot's new nighttime show, Luminous, the Symphony of Us. I agree with you. I think Luminous was a Kenneth, I think Luminous is a big addition, not because of, and I like Luminous, but I think it's what it replaced. And I think Disney biting the financial and the PR bullet of saying, yeah, this was not a good choice. We are going to pull back from Harmonious. We're going to cut our losses and we're going to come up with something new. I really like Luminous. Like on its own, I like Luminous, but I like Luminous even more because of what it replaced, if that makes any sense at all. So let's keep going. Really, so Deb Smith Gallo says, I enjoyed Moana, The Journey of Water. I'm keeping sort of quick notes here as I go, because when I talk about this on the show, I want to make sure I include some of the things that you mentioned and how much you mentioned them. So I agree, right? I think Moana, The Journey of Water, I think everything that's happening in that center section of Epcot, whether you love that new area or not, I think having those walls down, again, from not just an aesthetic perspective, but the showing of progress. I honestly think that section of the park is going to shine more as time goes on, as people become more comfortable with it, as they begin to integrate and implement more into that section, not just from a place to go and relax, but some of the things are going to come with the other building and World Celebration opening, having some of the live entertainment and music, and I think some of the other things that they have not necessarily announced yet. I think it is going to feel more park-like. And, for years I've said, and I attribute this to my friend Glenn, who pointed this out to me, more than a decade ago, that as locals, Disney sort of becomes our park. It's the place that we go, not a theme park, but a park. That's what World Celebration feels like. I think people really do want places to just go and wander and relax and explore. And yes, maybe even, just sit down outside and have a beverage or snack or take a call or get some work done or just, unwind for a little bit. And I think as we, as guests, become more acclimated to that space, I think it will make more sense to us as to why it's there. So on the opposite side of that, Kaz says, I was not impressed with the Epcot recent reveals. I was expecting more. You are not alone. There's other, I try and, despite what you may think, I try and listen as much as I talk, if not more, and do listen to the feedback of what people were saying. These walls were up for so long, and what we got was what appears to be an incomplete park. I don't necessarily think that's fair, but again, I think in time, I don't think that entertainment and places and spaces have to be centered around an attraction per se. I think that the space is an attraction. And look, I might get there in August and be like, this place was a mistake. It's unbearably hot and it's super. That's why I want to sort of give it time, right? It's like the restaurant that opens on Saturday. I'm not going to give my full review, but I will say, Costin, and I'm not sure if you saw it, that area at night is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I thought about going there tonight. I really thought about sort of going out because I wanted to just sort of be there. The weather's beautiful. I wasn't sure how the crowds were going to be. And yes, I'm scrambling desperately to try and get ready for the auction. But maybe in a week or so, I'll go back and I'll do the show from there because I really want you, and I don't think the video can do it any justice, but I think it's a really beautiful place to go at night. And as a local, in theory, being able to say, hey, you know what, it's 5, 6 o'clock, let's go to Epcot, let's grab a snack, let's just sort of hang out there, listen to the music, watch the fireworks, and then sort of meander our way home. Sounds really nice. In theory, because it would require me putting on pants and shoes. But for the average person, so I think I came in late 2022. I agree. Let's see. Let me just keep going here. Tops for us personally was becoming annual pass holders, going more than once. You can still see the exhibit in KC. Anna, how long does the exhibit run until? I have a lot coming up in the next couple of weeks and months, but if there's time, Becky Menken, maybe we should go out there and try and see it very quickly. And Kaj, you're right. Illumination are shoes to fill that I'm not sure can and will be filled, because it was such an important and integral part of Epcot for so long. I mean, you're talking decades, right? You're talking like 30 years that show was there. It becomes something that we're not just familiar with, but there's an attachment to it, right? There's sentiment, there's nostalgia, there's memories, there's stories, there's all these things. And I think too that the music, it's not just about the story and the pyrotechnics and the lasers, but that music was such part of the essence of Epcot that it's going to be very, very hard to replace. Chuck says, I think the Galactic Star Cruiser, both in existence and immersivity and its closing, have ripples we haven't seen yet. I agree, Chuck. Certainly the Galactic Star Cruiser story is not over yet. What is going to become of that, we've speculated on in the past. I still currently sort of am sticking to the idea of it becoming an a la carte type experience. I just cannot see them shuttering the doors, gutting it, and doing something else with that building. I think there is a lot of life left to be had in the Star Cruiser, just positioned and offered differently, right? You can stay there as a hotel. You can have a la carte experiences in terms of what you want to do, when you want to do it, how much you want to spend, how immersive you want to be. I think they're still needing to figure all of that out. Chris Vent, I agree with you 1,000% about San Francisco. I love some Big Hero 6, San Francisco. I really love the food offerings there. Again, there's no attraction, there's no show, there's character meet and greets. It's a very, very small merchandise shop, which hopefully has added some more things. I was there that first weekend that it opened, but the food offerings in San Francisco are plentiful and delicious. So I'm looking forward to going back. Allison loves the new open area in Epcot. I love having a place to sit and people watch and decompress. Mark Thompson, the Tron Tomorrowland expansion and opening. I agree with you. I love Tron. I love the film. I love what it's done to that space. Say what you will. And look, I think, people are like, oh, it took 5 years to open Tron. Yes, on paper, chronologically, it took 5 years. I think it's not just somewhat, but sort of patently unfair, because there was that whole, it wasn't just COVID, but it's post-COVID. And the post-COVID time, of which there is no clear delineation in terms of when it started, when it quote unquote stopped, because it hasn't. COVID still is, it's very much, it's a thing that exists. Again, this is not a debate or discussion about that, but in terms of, timing, manpower, resources. Look, we couldn't, for a long time, do we remember when we couldn't get certain simple resources because the supply chain was broken for so long? Do we not think that impacted places like Disney as well? The supply chain, the workforce chain, a lot of other things that impacted. So I think the 5 year, planting the flag is slightly unfair, not necessarily all Disney's fault, but what ended up coming there, I really loved, again, being a Tron fan, Tron nerd. So Nate also agrees, Tron opening be my favorite in 2023. Hannah enjoyed her first Epcot Festival, the Festival of the Arts, where we got a chance to meet, I didn't read the rest of it. It was nice to meet you as well. Amanda says, I love the announcement of the Disney Treasure. I didn't even think about that one. I can't wait for that ship. Amanda, I was just having this conversation with someone over the holidays. Oh, I forgot if I do that. 1, 2 does the fireworks. When I heard that the Treasure was going to have the same layout as the Wish, I was slightly concerned. Again, I come at it from a different angle, because when we do cruises, we always do them as groups. The Wish is not necessarily as conducive as I would like it to be. However, what is saving the Treasure is not the design of the ship itself, but the very smart decision to theme the places and spaces, not just after places in the parks, but hitting on that sense of sentiment and nostalgia, which I think is a huge driving force for maybe a large portion of the population that is also cruisers. I think 20,000 Leagues, the Haunted Mansion, the Jungle Cruise, those three places just being present on that ship are going to attract a very, very large number of people to cruising on the Treasure. I just want to know how they are going to get people out of that Haunted Mansion lounge. That's where I think the fun and interesting challenge is very much going to be. Shiki Sai for the win. Heather and I just bonded right there over 2 words. Shiki and Sai lost the Manchego Burger at Three Bridges. Shiki Sai is so good. I've been there 4 times, 3 seasons. I can't wait to go back and get my 4th stamp. Yes, I am going to review it at some point soon. I wanted to get a couple of, the menu is so big, I needed to get a couple of like trial runs under my belt first. The Disneyland Adventureland Treehouse feels more of an Imagineering achievement than we realized. So, Mark, that's really interesting. I haven't had a chance to experience the Treehouse as yet. It was just about to open when I was there last, but I have not had a chance to see it. Explain, why do you feel it's an Imagineering achievement? Do you mean from a storytelling perspective, a design perspective, like a nostalgia perspective? Just elaborate a little bit on that. Kendall says, I agree about the spaces and places. It's the main reason to go to Animal Kingdom. It's not for the attraction, but for the environments. I think that's a great, great analogy, Kendall. The same thing. There are areas of Disney's Animal Kingdom that I love, not because I am in or on an attraction or in a queue, but because I love the environment, right? And I think, all credit goes to Joe Rohde and the team for designing it that way. Animal Kingdom has always been a place that's meant to be savored and wandered, right? I talk about like sipping and savoring it. I think that's what this area of Epcot is meant to be. It's sort of, getting out of commando mode and running from attraction to attraction and place to place and being on the clock and giving yourself time and permission to literally and figuratively unplug a little bit from the sometimes very hectic, stressful pace of going through the parks. Lizette loves the outdoor seating and new benches around World Showcase, quite a few in Canada. So I haven't, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've been there. I have not noticed the seating areas and benches around World Showcase yet. That's really interesting because, to your point, one of the issues was that there has not been a lot of places, especially in Epcot, to just sit back, relax, and sort of enjoy that park. You might catch an occasional bench here and there in front of one of the shops, but they were very few and far between. So now somebody remind me, maybe next week I'll go to, what am I doing next week? I have no idea. Maybe next week. Oh, can I go? No, I might not be able to go next week. We'll see. We'll do a show from Epcot one night. Maybe we'll do like a meet of the month / like live show from Epcot. And we'll just wander and enjoy together. Do I think the long closure was meant for something else and they changed their mind? No, I don't think so. I mean, yes, Jim, certain things, if you're talking about Epcot, certain things obviously changed because of and post COVID in terms of things that they were planning on building. I'm not necessarily sure that some of the things that they gave a second look to or maybe pulled back on, I'm not sure that the extra time they had did not work to their benefit. There was a couple of things that might have, again, looked good on paper and maybe don't necessarily work in execution. COVID afforded them the opportunity to say, wait a second, let's just step back a minute. Let's take a look and see. Let's maybe sort of regroup and, go in a different direction. Caleb's favorite part was Destination D and the Once Upon a Studio short. Caleb, that is a great pull. Once Upon a Studio. For that little couple of minute animated thing, tears. The tears to time ratio was whacked like way off. The amount of tears for the amount of time, but that's really, really good. I'm putting that down so I don't forget it when I talk about it on the show. Chad says, my first day at Wilderness Lodge for my 50th. Happy birthday. Starts in 3 days. The crowds are down a lot from where they were. And by the time this weekend rolls around, you should be in very, very good shape. Disney 100 Kansas City doesn't open until May, I read. Yeah, I don't know. We'll Becky and I will talk about it. Becky, write that down. Becky and I are meeting tomorrow. We're going to add Kansas City to and the Disney 100 exhibit. I mean, as long as we're there, it's going to be the Marceline meetup too. I mean, we might as well. The Marceline bus tour. Anyway, let me see. The Star Cruiser building, community theme park for the blinds. Getting back on the railroad is pretty cool. Simple pleasures, right, Kristen? The simple pleasures. Nate is trying the Bison Burger at Geyser Point for the first time. I still need to do the best burgers on property. The Bison Burger is going to be on that list, so you're in for a treat. Andrew Milan has not one, but 2 words for you, and they are Hatbox Ghost. Quick show of hands. How important is the Hatbox Ghost to you coming to Walt Disney World? I think for some Haunted Mansion fans, they absolutely loved it. Like they've been waiting for it for so long. Other Mansion fans didn't like it, right? Keep it in Disneyland. It doesn't fit in the story. It doesn't fit. It's so interesting how a simple little thing like the Hatbox Ghost can, again, there's very different strokes for different folks as well. Another bit of love for San Francisco Square. Tron Legacy is one of the greatest sci-fi movies. Colton is planting his flag in Tron Legacy. As a Tron fan, I really want... Tron Legacy has grown on me more the more that I've watched it. In the past couple of years, I've kept it on in the background as I'm answering email downstairs sometimes. I don't know if I would put it as one of the greatest sci-fi movies. I think it lost a lot of people. I think it was a little cerebral for some folks who maybe were not huge Tron fans, number one. I think the story was a little tough to follow. It dragged a little in some places. I love the music. I love the characters. I think aesthetically, it's visually spectacular. If I had to do a top 10 sci-fi movies, is Tron Legacy in there? I'm not sure if it makes the cut. A lot of love coming in for the Treasure and the Haunted Mansion Lounge, of course. A lot of love for the Treasure. Karen is about to watch Fantasmic. Thank you for watching from the parks. Go and enjoy and have a snack. Let's see. The older I get, the more I appreciate Disney's Animal Kingdom. The cooler it gets, Patrick, the more I appreciate Disney's Animal Kingdom. And rumor on the street is that Nomad Lounge changed their menu again. You know what that means. If there's only anybody who'll go back to me and try it and review it, not once, not twice, but for the third. I've never repeated dining reviews before. Nomad Lounge might be the first three-peat if the menu is, in fact, that we were there for hours. God, that was such a good meal. Tron Legacy has an amazing soundtrack, by the way. The Daft Punk soundtrack is amazing. Cindy Mosteppen making her list of things to see from everyone's suggestions. I feel like we've been away for... Cindy, I haven't seen you in forever, although I did receive what you sent. Again, you get lots of little, big hearts, little hearts, for your contribution to our auction coming up this weekend. Tron Legacy got better with age, enjoying the Hatbox Ghost, something else fun to... I haven't seen it yet. I haven't been on. I have not seen... Oh, no, have I? Wait, I take that back. Yes, I have. I have seen the Hatbox Ghost. Let's see. Becky's like, stop. I'm here. Let's go. Are you talking about here? Let's go to Kansas City, or you're here? Let's go eat. Or possibly it. Mark says, let's hear it for the parking trams. I'm singing Let's Hear It for the Boys in my head, but let's hear it for the parking tram. Michelle said the DCL Vancouver to Honolulu. Honolulu paired with Aulani was amazing. Bread service that Vancouver to Honolulu trip with a stay in Honolulu does sound like an incredible time. Things I'm surprised I haven't heard you talk about yet. Splash Mountain closing, Woody's Roundup Rodeo barbecue opening, the Pickle Shake, Figment meet and greet. What else? Jollywood Nights. What else? What else have we missed? Runaway Railway at Disneyland is amazing. Love the queue, Joshua. I love the queue there. Michael says, I've got to get my Tron loving butt on Light Cycle Run. Give it like another week. The crowds will historically start to dip a little bit like mid-January, and you should be good to go. Darlene Nagy, formerly of West Seneca, New York, now from Orlando, Florida, says we ate our breakfast at Garden Grill and lunch was so delicious, but our favorite. So I haven't been to Garden Grill since it's gotta be 15 years. Like I'm not even sure my son was born yet. That may have been the last time I was at Garden Grill. Are you saying a Garden Grill lunch review should be on the to-do list, the to review list? The tea that was at the same place as the Pickle Shake was amazing. I agree. I think the Pickle Shake deserves mention because it was brilliant from a marketing perspective. Because it wasn't about how the Pickle Shake tasted. It was the social media fervor that was created around the Pickle Shake. It was getting that Instagram photo with the Pickle Shake. I can imagine the number of half-filled Pickle Shake mugs that were thrown out because you got in your picture, you did a little video for Instagram making like the sour face or like not really sure how you felt about it, and then maybe threw it out, right? It was hard to drink for me, like an entire Pickle Shake. But the pickle flavor also sort of dissipated, I think, after the first, when it first came out to like a week later. But I think I'm going to put the Pickle Shake on here as well as something that you guys mentioned. The Pickle Shake was good. Yeah, you definitely needed the Pickle Shake to reduce the fire. The wings were fantastic. I actually really love the Impossible wings. Like, I'm not usually a big Impossible person, but I really like the flavor and the texture of the Impossible wings. Courtney says the Animal Kingdom expansion announcements, Big Thunder expansion, etc. Again, it's very sort of blue sky, but I think the mention of them by Josh, maybe Josh sort of overstating a little bit what he should have said at, I'm sure some folks are imagining like, wait a minute, we're not ready to talk about this yet. That was sort of like the fun vibe that we got. But I think, yeah, the Magic Kingdom expansion and potential what else might be coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom is going to be interesting to see going forward. Pickle Shake was delicious, not really pickly. So it was very pickly at the beginning and a little less pickly. It was almost just more of like twangy than it was pickly. Yeah, so it was more dilly. That's the word I wanted. More dilly than pickly, Matthew Woolley, which I think was for the best. I agree. I think the pickle flavor was a little overwhelming at the beginning. But it's why you don't review things the day, the week, maybe even the first month that they come out. Deb also says that taking my son for the first Walt Disney World trip, like that's what it's all about, right? The memories that we make. I know I said dilly twice. Kendall says watching the tower go up at the Polynesian all year has been interesting. It's interesting Kendall, more for me to see reactions from people, condemning it while it's still under construction, which I think is it's fascinating to see. Again, just sort of paying attention and trying to sort of take the social temperature of things, and depending on where you go, whether it is the platform, the page, or the group, or the person, you might get relative consistencies in how things are perceived. Look, I think it's patently unfair to judge the Polynesian building while it is steel and concrete. Like, of course it's not going to be aesthetically pleasing. When it's finished, then judge, right? It does not look like the rest of the buildings. Absolutely. Does it look close? Does it look really close to what they wanted for the original concept for the Polynesian? So it does have ties to, quote unquote, what Walt wanted? Yeah, it does. Does it make sense in terms of creating more rooms in a place that is consistently full, hence increasingly expensive, right? Because it's demand-based pricing oftentimes. Having those additional rooms there is going to do a lot. I'm really, really curious to see, because I think they need to have some sort of additional dining option there that I don't think that we have heard about necessarily as yet. Paulette Donato, howdy from the boardwalk. See you real soon. I'm out of latkes, by the way, just FYI. Kristen says more Muppets in 2024, please. Zach Brown, the Zach Brown. There's only one Zach Brown, and it's this Zach Brown. It is good to see you. Stan Solo with Paris, Italy, and everything else you've had. A great 23. I have. It has been a remarkable year, Stan. Thanks to you and all of you. What was your highlight? It's funny you say that, because I've been thinking about this as I've been sort of preparing for, talking about the year. And it's, when I record the shows, it's not about me, right? But we are going to certainly talk about things that we've done as a WW Radio community, Wyoming, Paris, Italy. But when you said that, and this is not to take anything, like, I was, and I use this word sort of, it's a very broad stroke of the brush. I was gifted an opportunity, right? My daughter has missed out on a lot of things over the years. And through whatever you want to call it, I had an opportunity to go to Paris, to cover some stuff and take her with me. And being able to share those moments with her, it wasn't about where I was in the park. It wasn't about what I was doing. To share that time with her. If you have a 20-year-old daughter, you know, they change, and relationships change, and their interests change, and they want to be there with her. Having that one-on-one time with her is something I can't replace it. I could never repeat it. I could never replace it. And if I would have dropped dead the day after, I would have gone a very happy man. So, but from a pure WW Radio perspective, man, that's tough. I'm trying not to be biased by recency, and we had the river cruise as well. We had some really fun meets of the month. Like, I know it sounds silly, but that meet of the month that we did on Tom Sawyer Island at Aunt Polly's, I just enjoyed so much. Just getting together with new and old friends and sort of having that quiet place to ourselves. Sometimes it's not about where you go, but who you get to do it with, right? So, I know that some of the trips that we do by design are small, right? 30 people. Cruises obviously can have more. But sometimes it's just the simple things that we get to do together. So sorry about that. I get all weepy. Tom Free says, despite the pain of losing Splash Mountain, Tiana's Bayou Adventure will be an explosion of creativity and surprise, and they know it needs to be. Tom, the most important part of what you said was what you put in parentheses. They know it needs to be, right? They know that with this project, there is a lot riding on the line. Again, nostalgia, sentiment, emotion, taking out something that is a beloved attraction to a lot of people, losing the music from that attraction, losing the sense of place and memories and things like that. So I think you're right. And look, I think Disney, obviously, anytime you get up to bat, you want to hit a home run. I think Disney knows the importance of hitting a home run. Like, you can't whiff on this one, right? You can't whiff on Tiana's, and I don't. Look, Disney doesn't whiff often. I'll talk about the movies separately. Disney doesn't whiff often, but from an attraction perspective, we really, really don't see that. But I think that you're right. I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure needs to be, and I think, and out of hope, will be. I love the story. I love the movie. I love the music. I love the setting. I love the food. So I have very, very, very high hopes and more importantly, I have high expectations for Tiana. And I still, Disney has earned my trust in that they will deliver. So Matthew Spurlake says, I had a 12-hour drive home yesterday. Yikes. From Disney World. Oh, well, that's nice. And I listened to your podcast the whole 12 hours home. 1, I hope you had a great time. 2, Happy New Year. 3, thank you for listening. And 4, I sincerely apologize to anybody else in the car who may have been scarred by 12 hours of this. So, what episode, Matthew, what episode or episodes did you listen to on the way home? So, Mark says the Poly Tower looks better than the hotels in Waikiki. Darren says, finally meeting Lou Mongello at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It was nice to meet you as well. Elizabeth says Bermuda. Zach Brown was there. You were there at Aunt Polly's. And Zach Brown, I owe you a text, by the way. Jim, I am also overdue for Meet of the Month. We obviously have the lunch coming up this weekend, but I'll try and get February scheduled. My February is Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I'm gonna try and get it scheduled as soon as possible. So Disney doesn't whiff unless it's a whiff of Stitch's chili dog breath. Caleb has an interesting question, right? Speaking of whiffing, I think there was some whiffs from the studio, from the filmmaking, from the big and small screen perspective. But Caleb wants to know, what was your favorite movie that came out from Disney in 2023? What was your favorite movie that came out in 2023? Caleb, I'm going to tell you, I have a tough time answering this question. I was not. I wish that there was a clear and present winner for me. I was disappointed that I was disappointed in what came out from the movie perspective. Dreamer Dad from Noblesville, Indiana. I've been to Noblesville, Indiana. I was there for there was either a Disney meet I was there for, or I was speaking there. I've been to Noblesville, India. I'm 87% sure I've been to Noblesville. I know the name for some reason. So Stan and Matthew are talking about Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. Matthew was pleasantly surprised. There were moments that, look, I'm a choose the good guy, right? I'm going to find the good in any movie for the most part that I go to. There were elements of Dial of Destiny that I liked. There was a lot that I think was lacking. And I will save my comments about the Marvels for another day and another time. I did not love the Marvels. I think the Marvels is unfortunately a very weak it was a very weak offer from the studio. But we'll talk about that because I think sometimes with the whiffs gives, like what Marvel's doing now, they're going to step back, reevaluate, and move forward. And I think make some changes that need to. And look, I don't like not liking stuff, right? Like, when we go, we spend our time, we spend our money, to commodities which are, time you can't get back, and money is, there's only so much to spend. I don't like being disappointed when I go, and I don't like. And I think the problem for Marvel is that the standard was set so. They almost set their own standard unfairly high because of Infinity War and Endgame, that it's hard to sort of maintain that. But I don't think that the quantity has been plentiful. I don't think that the quality, it lives up to the same standards. Eternals, I'm looking at you. And yes, unfortunately, the Marvels. Look, I thought it was better than 4. There's not a lot that's worse than 4. Like Indiana Jones 4 is the Godfather 3, right? You don't sort of include it in the conversation, but let's see. And I understand that some folks don't hate on me. I understand that some folks love the Marvels, and that makes me happy, right? And look, I love, first of all, I loved Ms. Marvel, and I love the character. I love the actress that plays her because she's so pure and sincere in her actual love of what she's doing. Like, she makes me feel like she would do it for free. Like, because this is a dream come true for her. I don't necessarily feel that from everybody else. But again, this is not, let's pick on the Marvels. It makes me happy when people enjoy things that maybe I don't, right? Because, I always like to give everybody and everything a second chance, and someday I will. So, Haunted Mansion film was fun. I think Sue says, I think they came out with movies too quickly and that hurt them. I don't necessarily disagree. I see it like nobody has mentioned like Elemental, right? Nobody's mentioned The Little Mermaid. Nobody's mentioned Quantumania, which it's not calling anybody out. I think it's just sort of an indicator. Like in the past, every Marvel movie, every Disney movie it was here, right? We loved them. We talked about them. We saw them more than once. Like we couldn't wait to get the Happy Meal toys, not speaking from personal experience. But I don't like, what's the last great epic movie from the studios? What is the last epic movie? Disney, Marvel, nobody's even mentioned Star Wars. What is the last true epic classic film that will stand the test of time that has come out from the studios? I certainly don't see one in 2023. I'm not sure I see one in 2022. I think there's a trend that's been happening that hopefully Disney starts to bounce back from. So I guess at their best, they need better storytelling. I think, I think it takes a lot for the CEO of your company to say, yeah, we need to do better. We need to be better. And this is not just about box office numbers. I think it's just, again, the pulse. Becky's talking about The Black Hole. Becky's still talking about a movie from 1982. It's 2024. You gotta fast forward a little bit. Behind the Attraction, Jim O. Great call. Behind the Attraction on Disney Plus. I think some of the stuff on Disney Plus is stuff that's been better than the stuff on the big screen. Once Upon a Studio, Kira, I agree with you 1,000%. Matthew says, I listened to, 750, 753, 55, 56, 58, 59, 60, 61, 72. And wow, you are the man, Matthew. You made my night. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Chris, I just said the same thing today. Andrew Tan says, Encanto. Mary says, I've had enough remakes. Mary, it's interesting you say that, because if you look at what's coming, it's sequels and remakes. It's sequels, remakes, and live action. Inside Out 2, I mean, Mufasa is not a remake, but it's a sequel, prequel. It's in that it's in the same thing. Snow White, Moana live action, Deadpool 3, which is the one, for 24, I think it's the movie I'm most excited for. But there's not a lot of original stuff coming out, right? And this is where I think, and granted, to be fair, we are also sort of in the recovery time window of a very long, very extensive strike, which certainly pushed a lot back. 2024 is going to be a tough year in terms of new and original content that isn't being rushed to get out because of the strike. So it's from a content perspective, it's going to be fascinating to see. I think a lot needs to change in 2024. It might not because of the strike. We might start to go again, sort of leaning towards consuming content created by other consumers, right? Looking to content that's not created by big studios, but looking to content that's created by, people online, people accounts that we follow, YouTube, wherever it might be. So the last movie we enjoyed was Encanto. Christine has enjoyed. I watched the first episode of Percy Jackson with my son. I'm kind of over the live action remakes. The last thing that I watched on Disney Plus from Eric Fisher was Father of the Bride. I mean, I'm assuming you're not sort of watching these movies in chronological order, Eric. It just happens to be the last thing that you watched. Where are the fresh ideas? Remaking classic movies is tough. It's hard to beat the original. Mark, I agree. And sometimes the question I ask is why? Why? Why do you need to retell a story? Why do you need to do a live action remake of something unless there is, I don't know. I think sometimes going to the well too many times, what Marvel's missing is Cap, Iron Man, Black Widow. I thought Guardians 3 was okay. There were a lot of people being scarred. Like, I know somebody who, she walked out. I mean, she was so upset about, even though it was on screen, fake animals, like she was very, very upset by that and walked out. I don't think Guardians 3 was the strongest of the Guardians films, but this is me. Fingers crossed. I got everything crossed for 2024 and beyond. So, is it true there's going to be a Toy Story 5? That's what they tell us. That is what they tell us. Again, do we need to sort of go to that well again and again and again and again? So, Carlos, what about throwing some? I don't think throwing something against the wall and seeing if it sticks is a strategy, right? I think that's what you do when you don't have a strategy. I think Disney is very, very smart and very intentional about what they do. And I don't think that they've ever thrown anything against the wall to see if it sticks, because, every miss, every quote unquote failure tarnishes sometimes everything else. So I think they're very intentional about what they do. I think Disney Plus affords them a little bit of leeway in terms of, we can try some of these ideas out. If it doesn't work, we could pull it back, whether it's a one-off, whether it is a limited series. I think that's what Behind the Attraction was. I think that's what Prop Culture was, which unfortunately does not seem to have come back. I haven't heard word one about Prop Culture, and I really, really liked it. You can sort of make a commitment, not as big of a financial investment, see if it works. Look, I know of projects that were planned for Disney Plus that I'm not allowed. I'm literally under an NDA. That were planned for Disney Plus that the plane was very, very far in flight and just never materialized, having nothing to do with the pandemic, just never materialized. So I think sometimes they say, let's see if this works. And then before maybe making a mistake and putting out, they say, you know what, we recognize that it didn't, and then not going ahead and doing it. So, Stan, I don't disagree with you. I think WandaVision is your favorite Marvel show moving a long time. I don't disagree with you. I think WandaVision was very smart, very unique, and fresh storytelling. I don't think we've gotten a lot of that since. Even the Disney Plus stuff, I don't think has been super strong. I did not love Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think Loki season 2, well, it had good parts. I think it was very, very confusing, especially for the average quote unquote non-comic book multiverse variant nerd who's just trying to follow along. I was like, what's going on? I think you lose some people that way. And I think that's what's happened. I think people sort of just got confused out of the immersive storytelling MCU world because of how convoluted things are. And maybe it's just me. Look, I'm a world outside your window kind of guy. Like I prefer street level superheroes, simpler stories, because I think when you create multiverses and variants, you build yourself it's a cheat code. You build a very easy escape hatch if you back yourself into a corner, but like, it's okay. It was a multiverse. It was a variant. And I'm not saying that they've done that, but I think you have a lot of storytelling leeway when you start talking about multiverses and variants. And I also think that you have the potential to confuse consumers. And I think that's what's happened as you've gotten away from the simple Captain America, Iron Man stories that everybody can sort of follow along with no matter where you pick up on it, as opposed to if you watch Loki season 3, if you watch Loki season 2, or you try and watch, the Marvels, you're going to be lost if you don't have the frame of reference behind it. And I think that sometimes it's a big ask for the quote unquote average person that may want to start in the middle somewhere, just, maybe sort of getting into MCU. We'll see what the long and short term results are going to be. Let me see. Let me go back a little bit. Mark Sherman, X-Men 97, again, dipping into the nostalgia. Valerie, I would love to see them do National Treasure 3, because I think Nicolas Cage is a national treasure. And I just love, those are just fun stories. I think there's an opportunity to tell some great, historical stuff. You can throw some historical stuff in there too. It's a fun adventure, for the whole family. It's simple. It's easy to, you don't need to watch, 2 movies ahead in order to enjoy one of those sequels. So, What If is fun, but can be confusing. Again, I think What If you almost don't have to worry about because they're self-contained. I don't think that what happens in What If is going to affect the greater MCU. So they can just sort of go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in there, throw anything they want against the wall, right? Captain America, Spider-Man, zombies, and all, because to quote Bill Murray in Meatballs, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. If you know the reference, let me know. Winter Soldier and Loki seasons was a hard watch. Hawkeye was a great season during Christmas. She-Hulk was not great. I liked it, I didn't love it. The effects were rushed. I loved seeing Daredevil. Secret Invasion I thought was awful. I thought Secret Invasion was awful. I think I agree with you, Brian. I think Secret Invasion was rushed. I think even Samuel L. Jackson's character didn't feel like it was Samuel L. Jackson. And I dig me some Sam Jackson, like something fierce. And I don't think Secret Invasion did itself or the MCU or Nick Fury any favors at all. So, but what was the movie reference in today's newsletter? Who got it? Merry New Year. Who got it? Who got Merry New Year? I know, like this is like my brother and I do. We look forward to New Year's just so we can say that to each other. But who got the movie reference Merry New Year in the, this is the year Fink beats the stomach. I love me some Meatballs. Does Meatballs, which is not a Disney film unless it was absorbed up in the Fox buyout, does Meatballs still hold up all these years later? Yes. Yes, it does. Woody the Wabbit. Woody the Wabbit. Brian Des and I are like cut from the same cloth. Brian Des, you and I need to go out, eat food, talk about aliens, and Brian and I had a great time on the river cruise just talking about ancient aliens. And yes, for all of you who got it, it was, in fact, Trading Places. So, Heather, I think She-Hulk had its moments. I think there was a couple of smart, creative choices that it made. I loved, not to spoil anything, I loved the episode with Kevin. But at one point I was like, okay, just bring in Daredevil already. Just like get to Daredevil, who is, as I've gotten older, I've sort of, Spider-Man has always been my favorite since I was a kid, but there's a lot about Daredevil that I understand more. I think I relate to more as an adult, not just because he's a Catholic blind lawyer from the Northeast, but I am all those things. So, Clint Strange says, I got here late, but I think the MCU's experimented, push the limits. We'll get back to finding the right balance with their story soon. Clint, I agree. I think it's why Feige said, look, I'm going to pull in the reins. Let's take a look at what we got, like on the docket. Let's maybe cut some of these things back and let's do quality over quantity. Let's get back to not just good, but exceptional storytelling. Marvel was unbeatable. Nothing, they could do no wrong. Everything was a grand slam. And then all of a sudden there was a chink in the armor. And then another, and then another. And it's not one big epic failure. It's little things here and there. And when that starts to happen and it starts to chip away at the wall, the armor, whatever you want to call it, all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm sort of seeing that I'm not loving everything that they're doing the way I used to. I used to walk out of Marvel movies and go and buy a ticket for the next day. I used to go home and I couldn't wait to talk about it with anybody who would listen. I miss feeling that way. Like, I want to feel that way again about what Marvel and Disney puts out. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that 2024 is the year that they start to right the ship a little bit and make us feel, that's the operative word, because I've watched your comments. I liked Wish. I thought this was okay. Yeah, this was pretty good. I haven't heard anybody go, gosh, like this movie changed my life. I will never forget how I felt I'm not sort of getting that, right? And I don't sort of hear that about any of these movies. And it saddens me as a Disney fan because it's not about wanting the company to succeed, but I love seeing people be made happy by these things that we love. And, when some of these things don't hit the way they used to, remember Pixar movies when they came out? Like, Pixar movies were epic. Every Pixar movie was a grand slam. They haven't been for a while. And I think we've seen that with Star Wars and Marvel and Disney. And we're like, well, wait a minute, what's wrong? Like, what's happening? What's wrong? And how can we as fans can't fix it, but how can we hope that, Disney is able to adjust? So, I'm very curious about Echo, which I believe, does it drop tomorrow? Does Echo drop tomorrow? Friday? Love the portrayal. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Like, give that man an Emmy. He is so, so good. And obviously, again, knowing that we're going to see a little bit of Daredevil has me intrigued. I will say, Christine, that I think some of the best Marvel stuff that they've done has been their willingness to take some of these stories that are dark in the comics and adapt them that same way onto screen. Not everything is for everybody, and that's okay. Nor should they be. Not every Disney movie is going to appeal to every single Disney fan, and that's okay too. But you want the things that you hope appeal to certain people to really appeal, right? To really just sort of fall in love. And I'm not sure that we're seeing that. You know, I go to the store, I go to the parks, I don't see Wish merchandise flying off the shelves. It's an indicator, right? We speak with our pocketbooks to a certain degree, and yes, you have to sort of look at some of these things and say, yeah, you know, the money isn't coming in the same way. It's you know, people are saying how they feel through their pocketbooks. So, would like to see Fantastic Four. They got to do it right. I think the casting in Fantastic Four is going to be critical. I think the casting of because that character, those characters specifically, I think where the MCU is heading is not just, and now look, with Jonathan Majors, do you recast Jonathan Majors? Do you abandon the Kang storyline? May not be the worst thing, right? Do you go the Fantastic Four Doctor Doom route? Maybe so. I think Doctor Doom is an amazing villain who everybody can sort of understand. He has a fantastic backstory, again, grounded in reality, not in multiverses and transverses and all other dimensions and stuff. There's not 5,000 Doctor Doom variants. It's a little bit more grounded again back on Earth. And he interacts and has interacted over time with a lot of different superheroes that can really sort of open the doors to some really, really cool, I think really cool stories. Doctor Doom is an amazing villain. So, it's unbelievable. So going to my point, it's unbelievable that the Marvels made less than $100 million when the MCU used to make that in a single weekend. I think you're right. The you know, the box office tells a story. So, hate to say it, and I can't believe, but Barbie was among the top movies I saw in theaters last year, if not the top. Look at the way people talked about Barbie. Barbie was a phenomenon. The way Marvel's movies used to be phenomenons. Disney needs a Barbie. Does that make any sense? Disney, they do. They need a Barbie. They need a Barbenheimer. Yeah, the end of Loki will make the recasting of Jonathan Majors work. You know, he can be a different person. Again, Chrissy, you know, this is a perfect example of when we built in or out. We can easily explain away the recasting of what was supposed to be the main villain for a long time to come because he's a different variant, because he didn't get that. It's a cheat code. I don't know. I mean, you have to sort of figure it out, but we'll see. So, honestly, I did not love Jonathan Majors as an actor. I thought his Victor Timely was I didn't love it. I just didn't love that individual character portrayal. It felt like it was so forced and over the top. I didn't buy it. I just felt like it was a bad performance. But whatever. Who knows? We'll see. We shall see. It is a new year. It is a new chapter. It is new opportunity for Disney and Marvel and Star Wars and everybody involved, including us, including all of us. It is an opportunity for us personally, professionally, individually, as a community. The whiteboard is chock full of good stuff. I'm going to see Becky Mankham tomorrow. Yay! And where I'm sure there's going to be conversation about some of the things. I think Becky the other day mentioned 2036, and I felt a little palpitation in my heart. There was a little bit of a tingling down my arm when she said that. But yeah, there's a lot to be excited for coming up. Speaking of things to be excited for coming up, again, I am super excited for this weekend and our Dream Team lunch and auction. We're going to talk on next week's show about the year that was. I appreciate all of your input and insights and some of the things that we got to do in 2023. I'd love to see you in 2024, not just at a meet of the month, but we've got our Halloween on the High Seas cruise. The Disney Magic, man, the Magic and Wonder are like neck and neck in terms of my favorite ships. But Halloween on the High Seas and the opportunity to go to Lighthouse Point has me very, very excited. And as we talked about earlier, getting to go on the Treasure, February 8th to the 15th, 2025, which is going to be the 20th anniversary of the podcast, which is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But if you'd like to find out more, if you want to get a free no obligation quote, we still do have room. You can go to wdwradio.com/cruise, and our friends over at Mouse Fan Travel can help you. And again, I have 3 words for you: free Disney dining, fee-free vacation planning. All those words together. Reach out to Mouse Fan Travel. They will help you navigate all of what you need to know about the free dining, as well as the other offers that are currently going on if you're looking to visit Walt Disney World. What else? What else am I forgetting? I don't know. Let's go to the videotape and oh, wait a minute. This is not. Well, it doesn't matter. The ending music isn't working, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. What am I forgetting? Let's see. Oh, I don't have everything. Wait, let's go back here. Let's go back here. I mentioned on the show last week, if you're looking for, I got my Factor meal coming tomorrow, Friday. I've talked about the Factor is part of the HelloFresh family. And if you're looking for specific healthy foods that are fresh and ready-made and you want to give them a try, you can use code 50 WDW for 50% off. Go to factormeals.com/WDW50 and it'll put it in there for you. I know I'm forgetting something else. What am I forgetting? Amber Bramble says, my husband is yelling no from upstairs. I don't know what is he yelling no about? Is he saying no that you can't go on a cruise? Come on, Mr. Bramble. How much fun would we have? Come on a cruise and I'll buy you all the chicken tenders that you like, if that's what you're talking about it. So, Richard is stepping out of the Disney Dream for 9 days for Marvel Day. Oh God, I love Marvel Day at Sea so much. The Marvel Day at Sea finale show on deck, I've said it before, I will say it again, is arguably the best stage show, not just on Disney Cruise Line. It's one of the best stage shows in a Disney park. It's that good. It's that good. And now I want Disney Cruise Line chicken tenders. Ay, ay, ay. I always want Disney Cruise Line chicken tenders. What am I forgetting? I don't know. I'm sure that I am forgetting something, but it doesn't matter. I want to say thank you again for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts about the year in review. We continue the conversation over in the clubhouse. Please don't forget, by the way, to share the show and tell a friend, invite somebody to join. Speaking of joining, huge thanks again to everyone who has supported the show through the nation. 2023 and all the years prior. I'd love for you to be part of the Nation family in 2024. I've got some new Nation benefits and ideas that I'm looking forward to implementing and sharing with you in the coming weeks and months. So please go and check it out. I'm sure I'm forgetting something like huge and important, and I'll freak out once the show is over, but it doesn't really matter. Thank you again for an incredible and amazing 2023. I want you to know, like, it means more than you know. I would not be here if it wasn't for you. And if there's anything that I can do for you to make your life better, please reach out and let me know. I hope to see you either on the course this weekend. I'll be cheering the half and the full, or at our Dream Team lunch and auction on Saturday. Otherwise, I will see you here next week. I love you. I appreciate you. Trying to see if I can, there you go. Trying to get them both. And I don't know how to do any of the other ones. So is this like the lasers? No, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to do the lasers anymore. Is it thumbs up? Is it one thumbs up? Whatever. Doesn't do it. Anyway, have a great night. Have a great week. And I will see you again real soon. Bye.